I'm taking classes right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I pay for my kids to go golf, and neither one of them seemed very interested today in it. But when I was paying for it, everybody was just hyped up about it. And now I wish that I had done it for myself,
Mm-hmm.
because now, but yeah, I have I've been into this, one of my friends had taken me to Top Golf. We've gone several times now, and I really like it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and they had classes there at Top Golf. And so I shopped around and found a clinic where I could go for 6 weeks. And so it's nice. It's really,
Do you know the person that's teaching the clinic?
I don't.
Okay.
Mm-mm, I did
Is it a
not.
black person?
No, I'm the only little chocolate girl out there. I
Oh, okay.
don't. So no, all Caucasian.
Okay. Um, because I know a lot of people who golf. As a matter of fact, my brother, he did the same thing with his kids. And so they my nephews are really good. As a matter of fact, I
Mm-hmm.
was to take lessons from my nephew, but what I found is that even the way that you hold the golf club was a little challenging for me. So I haven't taken any lessons yet, but that's something that is still.
Yeah. So last year, my dad had the batting, put me in like a batting, not a batting, whatever, driving range, set it up outside in the backyard,
Mhm.
for the gazebo thing. And so I was doing shots like that. But yesterday, I got like more like alignment stuff, and so now I want to go out there and try to do it with form, because for sports, for me, form is everything. When I was a center and playing basketball, there was something about knowing my form. I knew that there would be a consistent, I would hit the goal. Same way with bowling. I know my form. When I release the ball, that it's going to end as a strike. It's just like form matters to me. So now in this golf swing thing, um, it's just interesting because now I'm doing more with my body, that I'm more aware of my body, um, and the body eye connection. It's just, anyway, I like it. I'm having a good time learning about the sport.
Mhm.
So yeah. Everybody was
Yeah.
all dressed for golf. I had on some leggings and nobody said they. I mean, everybody said they had never done it, but I guess they got their little uniforms. Um,
Well, part of the game is the uniform, huh? But that's like that in tennis too. People come with the, little tennis outfits on.
yes, yes.
Okay, okay. But I mean, that was one of the things that used to get me too when I would go someplace to work out. You go in there and it's like it's a doggone fashion show.
Yeah, yeah,
People
yeah.
gotta have on the proper stuff. And here I go in there with just,
That was me.
I was
And that's
driving
gonna
home
be
and
me because I'm
decided,
not
yeah,
interested in doing nothing different right now. Like, I'm like, whatever.
yeah.
Uh,
I just decided as I was going someplace, it's like I just decided like, oh, okay, I'm gonna stop by here and get in a couple of reps and
yeah, so that
clothes
I
are
noticed that.
washable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's some clothes I probably wouldn't work out in, but the shucks, I'd be like, clothes are washable. Shucks, I don't gotta be worried about all of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm like that in the morning. I think that's why I enjoy going to the gym at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, because hardly nobody's there. I don't know if I guess when I went in Kansas, I had on my little Stephanie workout clothes, and it was around, a time where it was at Lifetime. I think it's Lifetime or
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah.
Anyway, in Kansas, and I felt normal. Like, I felt like, oh, whatever. But they were all, skin tight. The little outfits. They're cute, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
This is not for me. Uh, at the
Yeah.
gym, anyway. At home, I have a
Yeah.
good old time. So.
Yeah. I hear you. Um, My brother does, I think he does a 4 a.m. at one of the, he goes to work out at 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And, last night we both left from, because it's interesting. I would really love to, like, I wonder, there was a book that I read about, by the guy that's on death row. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was a man that was on death row for, I don't know, 28 years or something like that. And then he was released. He was found out to be not guilty and then released after all of this time. I forget what the name of that book was. It was really good though. But one of the things that he talked about was, even on death row, when somebody loses a family member or something tragic happens, they still go through the same type of procedure that you would. He says it may be that we're passing down the dessert off of our tray, or we're trying to give a gift of something that we have. But
Wow.
there's that need to have that sharing moment. So through this grieving of my cousin, now he was only 20, and both his mother and father are well connected and well loved, and she's a Delta, and the turnout. So he was killed not this past Sunday but the Sunday before. So it's been at least 10 days, and the food and the flowers and the alcohol and the people have just been non-stop. And the way that people have shown up in spite of, and in the midst of COVID.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
I looked around yesterday to see who besides myself was wearing a mask, even though I've had both of my shots. And there was maybe 3 other people in the house that had on masks.
Mm.
Some people had them, but had them down because they were talking. But by and large, it's like we're standing in a house full of 30 plus people, and it was just people still coming and people still bringing stuff. And so today is finally the funeral, and I'm sure. I mean, there have been people who, a few of her sorority sisters, line sisters, Sands, showed up like the day that they found out, and just seemed like had to have not gone home. So that level of embrace has just been amazing, but I'm sure it's also exhausting. I could not imagine having people in my house from sun up to sundown. I would need to have something over that. It just,
True.
so
And your cousin will. When it's over, it's
yeah.
gonna be it's gonna be that double, that peaceful but missing piece. Just I'm glad, but I'm not glad. But yeah, you
Right,
have to
right.
recover from that too.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
this process, one of the things that, like Marianne Williamson and a lot of other people talk about, is the necessity of mourning.
Hmm. Goodness, yes.
Um, yeah, and I think that as a society, even in our workplaces, they tell you, oh, you got this many days, depending upon the
Right,
relationship. They make
right.
it seem like you got a set amount of time to get over it and
Hmm.
get back at your
Hmm.
desk, so to
Hmm.
speak. And so people have this notion that um yeah, that you can turn on the switch and off the switch, just like it's
Water.
nothing.
Right.
And that's not the case. And so I think as a society, we have a very different perception of what this process is like. So even the mourning part, they used to have professional mourners, or people who would, I can remember reading some books where they would talk about when a person passes on, that somebody actually sits with the body and holds vigil over the body up until it goes into the ground. Women used to wear a certain color, black or something, and there was a certain amount of time, and grieving was so, because you had to wear the outfit of grief, a widow or widower or something, you wore the outfit of grief. And so grief was something that was known and acknowledged. And, and people could basically, deal with you because they knew that you were in grief or grieving. And some countries are still like that. I can remember
probably grief
when I was
handle you accordingly too, because they are aware that you are in a space of grief.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that all of that is a wonderful part of the process that we may have, because of the way that we set it up. We don't necessarily acknowledge or get into these days. So
we have to keep the economy moving, and we got to keep it, be strong and move forward. We have to give the pretense or the look that and there can be some acceptance, but grief and mourning is still important.
It is majorly important. So it's such a strong part of who we are. So look, I'm sorry, you guys, we have just kind of been ignoring the fact that we may have somebody out there watching us already. Good morning to you. Welcome to this, I don't know what day number this is, but Morning Glory with Sandra and Stephanie. Welcome to you. I am so glad that you are here, and I am so excited to have conversation. As you can see, I'm already talking up a storm. And today, today, Stephanie is, as you can see, on her grind. Hey, Tony. Stephanie is on her grind already. And hey, Gretchen. And
good morning, guys.
yeah. And I have a amazingly full day. As you guys just heard, I have a funeral to attend at 10 o'clock. And because of my busyness yesterday, I did not get my radio show recorded. So I'm going to be recording part of this simultaneously to go on air, because, just so they can cut down on the amount of time that I actually need to record. And so I'm trying to get my system over here straight so that I can record. And for some reason, I'm not seeing my button light up. So I am just sitting here playing around with my my console, trying to figure out how I can get, but you know what? This is recording anyway. So it's recording on Zoom. So maybe I will just download this audio and use that. Okay.
Look at you.
Yeah, trying to figure out how to I'm really, though, trying to see how I can streamline all of the stuff that I need to do, because I'm on a time crunch. And they hate it when I send in my radio show at the last minute, which is what I'm going to be doing today. So my apologies to them. So anyway, so having said that, I'm gonna set that to the side and come full center. And do you want to do the prayer? Okay. All right. So thank you, Father, Mother, God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As we all just breathe in, we are breathing in this breath of life. This breath that animates and just goes down all through us and sustains this thing called life. This breath of God, this breath of life keeps us centered in this knowing that we have never been separate nor apart. Breathing this breath of life into these things called our bodies in this instance. We just give thanks. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for this space, for this time, for the words spoken here, knowing that they are filled with your light, love, and wisdom to the highest. We open up. We make ourselves receptive. And we just let it be. And so it is. Amen. Yeah, I'm so excited about this stage of the game. We are entering into a new, well, you know what, this thing, every 3 pages, it seems like, is a new section.
Yes.
So but every time we switch into a new section, it's like I get so excited about the new section.
I know.
Even though it's not, but it becomes this thing of, like, ooh, this is juicy. This
Yes.
is so good.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I get so much out of doing this work. And it causes you to be so reflective of your life,
Yeah.
of everything that you do, and even everything that you feel in your body. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I hear something like, I'm like, what's that? Gurgling, right? What's that? What am I missing? What do I need to see? Because I don't know if you've ever done this, but sometimes you get butterflies and don't even know why you got butterflies. You just think to yourself, like, I wonder what's happening, what's coming up. Body, what do you know that my mind is not consciously thinking?
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Now that I'm aware, I notice all kind of different energies and little tinglings on my neck right here. I don't know if it's always been there, but it's definitely new and it's showing up. So now when it shows up, I'm paying attention to what am I thinking? Where am I standing? What's going on? That little, this was like a little buzz. At first I thought I had my Bluetooth thing on. It happened 3 times now. And I've had 3 instances, and I thought maybe I had my little Bluetooth thing on, and I usually try to only wear that when I work out, the thing that goes around my neck. And so that little buzz, I don't know what it is yet. I haven't determined the pattern, but I'm paying attention because it's very, very new. A very new experience, and the and this whole knee thing, I am really like determined. I'm working out on it, but I'm like, what is it I'm not letting go of?
The knees represent this idea of flexibility.
Okay.
And so sometimes when you have problems in your knees, you have to ask yourself, in what areas am I not being flexible? And so, and I think that was one of those things that I discovered, it was one of those first lessons out of the book. So when you think about money issues, you think about the lower back. When you think about flexibility issues, it's the lower knees. When you think about shoulder issues, what am I carrying? Yeah. So it becomes these questions, I think, that we have to ask ourselves. In what areas might I be inflexible in my life? So yeah. So all of that is just, to me, is really informative. And so if you are working through, and I put out there before, if you needed us to look up some type of ailment that you may be experiencing in your body, if we have access to it, we can always look that up for you. And it's something for your consideration. So we can't pinpoint what it is that you're dealing with, but can rather talk about what a particular body part resonates to.
Yes.
And so that is, I think it's powerful to make yourselves aware. So the section that we just entered is on page 76, how the chakras, sacraments, and sephirots work together. And so in this particular section, she talks about each of the levels. So we've gone through over the last few days talking about the Sephirot, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And we talked about the chakra system, and we're also, even though we haven't necessarily drilled down on the sacraments, right? We're going to be talking about those as we come up. So now she's talking about how these work together, and as we see how they work together, then we can better place them in our bodies, right? So she says we are born with an inherent knowledge of the 7 truths woven into our energy system. Now, for those of you who may be joining us for the very first time, Stephanie and I are working out of Anatomy of the Spirit, which is an amazing book by Carolyn Myss, MYSS, and she is a energy intuitive. And so for a lot of people, this will be information that you will feel as if you are hearing for the very first time. But she says that we have an inherent knowledge of it because this is ancient information. So even if you go back through your Bible, there are ideas and thoughts that correspond to the information that is being shared here. And even before the Bible, I mean, because sometimes there are those of us who only acknowledge history back as far as the history books go. So for so many, that is the founding of America, but prior to that, we already had a heritage. That heritage did not start with that. And even the Bible, we have the idea that in the beginning, when man was first formed, but even that in the beginning, look, I'm gonna do a Stephanie. In my humble opinion, right? Even that in the beginning,
yes.
There was something prior to that. If you look at it as if in the beginning there was darkness, right? And the world was without form, that means that the language didn't have the ability to speak to what it was that we saw.
Right.
And so then
yes.
got the language, right? Then we could say, whoo,
right.
Hey, now we can.
And that woo ain't even big enough, but okay.
I love it.
It's so true, though. Yes. It's the truth. Right. And I think that one of the things about this studying this information and this work for me is that it resonated with me, for me, by myself. Like I got a hold of the information. Nobody was teaching it to me. I got it and it was like jump off the page for me. And that's when I knew, and how I know, that there is more information out there for me to learn and to know that resonates with me. And I don't have to discover, is this right or wrong? It just resonates with you. It makes sense when you start to read about aches and pains and then what it's associated with. When it resonates with you, it's just so much, and it's so good. And I my desire is that this entire world would just know that there is more to what we know than what we know.
Right.
period. Like there's always more to know.
Right. But you know what? So here's the thing though, because the way that the system is set up, it's set up so that you do not know.
Mm-hmm.
There is, when they call it weapons of mass distraction,
I like that.
we are distracted from the process of living life. Now, here, let me say to you this, because now all of a sudden, in the teachings, the ministries that most people, are under, a lot of people want to say that this is evil or that's evil, or this is ungodly, and we turn our attention away from the things that are basically our own humanity, right? So we got so many things that we have bastardized because we no longer want to be associated with it because it's dark or something, I don't know. But here's the interesting thing. When you think about, even prior to this, people did not have electricity, right? There was a time when when fire was a big deal, right? Because really, and if you could think about what you could see from a firelight, a camp light, right? That was why in the Bible they used to talk about filling your lamps with oil. Yes, because even that was a big deal, because oil wasn't cheap, because that was the only thing that you can burn. So can you imagine if you got an oil lamp, how far can you see when all you have is an oil lamp, right? So you spent most of your days, especially in the winter time, in darkness.
Yes.
And so people had nothing else to do but to look at the stars and, oh, it's a starry night, right? And so when they talked about Harriet Tubman during slavery and following after stars, now you sit there and think, or somebody told you that astrology is the devil's work.
Devil's work.
What they tell you. Yeah, I don't know what they tell you, but people used to have nothing else to do but to look at the stars. As a matter of fact,
study them.
Yes, to study them.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, the Great Pyramid in Egypt is aligned with the stars. I mean, the entire alignment is based on the universe, not just Egypt, not just the little, it is so much bigger than that. And so without the knowledge of all of this stuff that has come somewhere from somewhere, this would be a different place. And so because we have turned our attention towards the television instead of towards the galaxy, now we are bereft. I'll use that word. Lacking. And so all of this stuff is amazing and wonderful and beautiful. And yes, yes, we talk about advancement as if we've actually advanced. And to some degree, I think that we have regressed because we don't have these associations. I get a pain in my knee, and what do? We run to the doctor and get a pill, rather than saying, wonder what this means, right? And so that's what we are trying to dissect for you here by talking to you about the work that Carolyn Miss is doing, or has done. I don't want to make it seem like she's doing it. She has done, because her life is a progression, right? Yes. So she didn't just stop at anatomy of spirit. She went on to talk about sacred contracts. And then after that, she started talking about something different. And even now she is doing a daily piece that is something totally different. So the ball gets to moving, and then it just keeps moving. And that is what happens for all of us. Some people, this will be the first time you've been introduced to information like this. But guess what? It's real.
It's real. And
It's,
it just feels it's it I yeah, I wish, I pray and desire this for all mankind, to just be open to knowing that there is so much more, like more and more and more. And when I say more, I mean more about spirit, more about what we're having to do and why we're here, and the intention about getting clear about who we are and what
yes,
we came here to do.
yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So I'm going to continue reading here. She says, we are born with this inherent knowledge of these seven truths woven into our energy system. Violating these truths weakens both our spirit and our physical bodies,
Mm-hmm.
while honoring them enhances the strength of our spirit and our physical bodies. And so when I share with you, and I shared the other day, you are a spiritual being. You are a spiritual being. I could go back and I could break this down for you all over again, but or you can actually watch here on Facebook some of the days past that we have done, because we started this conversation back the day after Easter and have progressed through this material since the day after Easter. But in short, this idea of your spirit, a lot of times people don't recognize or realize that they are spirit. And so it's amazing to me. I got to go back to my cousin again, the 20-year-old that was killed. You go and you see them laying in the coffin, and what you see there is the body, the suit of clothes, of flesh, the suit of flesh, or the body suit that his spirit lumbered about or wore during this particular lifetime. But
Mm-hmm.
as you see him there, he is cold and lifeless, right? But we know that there is a progress that, or something that the body goes through after the fact, that is still breaking down and all of that stuff. But as he is there and the spirit has now left his body, you see that there is the essence of what he is, that light, that energy, that spark of who he was is now gone. And so you don't see that animated self. You don't see the smile. You don't see the brightness in his eyes. You don't see all of that. And sometimes people, we buried them at 80, but they really died at about 20, 25, right? Because you see people walking around all the time without their light on, right? They
Mm-hmm.
they they die, and they allow something to die within them and never go back and retrieve that. And so they walk around in these bodies without their spirit, because their spirit has either, for whatever reason, and that's what we're here to explore, for whatever reason, their spirit is no longer present, because either it is bogged down with so much hurt and pain and anger and all of these things that keep it in a place of detachment, of submission, or whatever it is. Our lights go out, but yet we still walk around here, and you can see it in people's eyes. You can see it when you see a person, a person that's lit up, right? I was I was sitting next to a woman yesterday at when we were doing the repass after the viewing. I don't want to call it a repass because there's another one today.
Right, right.
But I'm sitting next to a lady, and she says to me, as we were eating, because there was a bunch of us that got together and we cooked, and so she was saying to me, she was like, "Oh, this is really good." And I said, "Well, thank you." And she was like, "Oh, did you cook this part?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what And she was like, "You look really healthy." She was like, "Your skin, your face, you look really healthy. You must eat healthy all the time." And I was like thinking to myself, like, okay, yeah, you know, I didn't want to get into the esoteric conversation about, the spirit flowing or meditation or all of that stuff. I was just like, okay, yeah, thanks. But it's one of those things of and I guess I could have went there, but it's like, I just so I don't like to miss a moment to kind of tell, to share stuff, but that wasn't necessarily the moment. but, but energy is power. This thing, your spirit is power, and it is powerful. But to the degree that you recognize it and cultivate it,
that's
right?
good. You got to say that part again.
that energy. Oh, I don't even know what I said.
Yeah.
Energy is power.
Yes, but to the extent that you recognize it and cultivate it. Yes.
So when I talk about this thing, our bodies needing the energy that we are given. We are given this energy. It is there for our use, for our taking. But if you are not accessing it, it might as well not be given to you, right? Now, we have been told that our brain capacity, we only use about 10% of the capacity that our brain has to function, to think, to do what it does. Only about 10%. The other 90%, we just waste. Now, they make it seem like this is a choice rather than by design. And I don't know that people choose necessarily to be less than. I think that sometimes what happens is we only aspire to what we see as possible.
Right. We rise to the level of the expectation. All of us. Yeah. It's like, if that's what's expected, then we'll rise to that. So if no more, if this is the level of excellence, this is where I'm reaching. Until I know that I can reach beyond, like, what does that mean? The sky is the limit.
Right. And so here's the other thing, though, is part of what we have done. I want to write this down, because there's a little aside that I want to tell you about a flea trainer, but I don't necessarily want to get stuck on that. But here's the thing, and I want to say this because, and I'm going to step on your toes. I'm on some folks' toes, right? But I got the freaking audacity to do it. So here's the thing. The way that the Bible is conveyed to us now is that Jesus is the only begotten Son. That's the way that it is conveyed to us. That Jesus was an immaculate conception.
So am I.
Therefore, even though Jesus was made flesh, was born into a body and dwelt among us, and I think in here we just dealt with that Christianity is the only religion that has a deity, like, fathered by God, that is walking the planet. So while Hinduism, it says, has many gods, right? And some of them that they talk about as having immortality and all of that stuff, which is part of that thing. But Jesus is the only religion that has a deific God. So we were told that he was immaculately conceived, that his mother was a virgin, and that he was fathered by God. All of that is part of the story that we have about Jesus. And therefore, even though Jesus said to us through his teaching that all these things that I do, you can do also and greater, right? We were told that, but what we choose to believe is that it's not possible for me, only for Jesus. And so therefore, we don't go around trying to heal one another, because most of the time people don't believe that they have that capacity within themselves. And so we never aspire for anything greater. We aspire for the lesser. Now, let me tell you about how they train fleas. I mean, I don't know why this is a crazy little story, because we could talk about the way that they train so many different things. But a flea, they said that if you take a flea, he will jump to the level of resistance that it receives, right? So if a flea jumps and it can reach your dog, say for instance, right? And that's a 12-inch jump, that flea will jump those 12 inches or whatever it takes to get him to that particular spot. But once he receives resistance, then that resistance might take him down. If he jumps and at 6 inches hits a ceiling, then all of a sudden in his brain, it can't jump any higher than 6 inches. And so therefore the 6 inches will be the top capacity that it'll go. If you take it down to 2 inches and that top, it hits that top at 2 inches, then 2 inches will be the capacity to where they will jump. And so this thing is, once it hits the resistance, it doesn't move past that. Now, for so many of us, we don't realize that we've been trained in the same type of way. And once that resistance is hit, we don't go beyond that. So a lot of times what we see is we see things in the news or in our media. We see things, we are witnessing things right now that is trying to retrain us to get back in your spot. You are getting, and this is the nomenclature of yesterday. You getting too big for your bridges. We gonna send a Chauvin out to execute right in front of your face, just like we used to do when we whipped somebody on a tree, hanging from a tree, or when we lynched people to send you a message. We are going to start reasserting these messages so that you get back in your place. That is why you see a difference in how people were responding to that January 6th insurrection versus a Black Lives Matter protest.
Mm-hmm.
They are trying to tell one to get back in your place, and they are on the other hand, they don't even know how to deal with when it comes down to the other folks. Mm-hmm. So there is a message that is being sent out, and you have to determine where you are going to be, where you're going to fall on this spectrum as it relates to this, because energetically it's trying to tell you to go back to sleep.
Exactly.
Down, right?
But the one of the things about January 6th is that there is a power in knowing who you are.
Yes.
There is a boldness in knowing who you are when you know for real, like I am.
But you know what? And so part of the narrative that we have received is, and this was not by accident. So this is something that has been placed into the conscious and the psyche of people for it seems like since they realized that they had the ability to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, if we go back to Genesis, it says that man was given dominion
Mm-hmm.
over all of this stuff, the things of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And what it named it, man will have the power and the ability to name a thing. And when he named it, that was going to be what it was going to be. I am not a slave. I am not descendant of slaves. Well, it may be in my lineage, but that is not. I am. Even our language, we have to check. Because one of the things that they try to do is say that you are less than human, that you are less than, and that's why so many people walked around with the sign that had to say, "I am a man," because they needed to speak that and say, "I am not 3/5 of a person. I am not a less than. I am whole. I am entitled to living my life," and not based on the Declaration of Independence. Damn it! I mean, just not based on that. A piece of paper does not give me this life that I have. It is something that this country has declared, but that piece of paper is not the limit or the maximum of what my soul is, of who I am, nor is it for you, right? And so at a certain point, we have to take back this idea about who and what we are. We have to reclaim our centrality in this thing, knowing that your energy is your own, that you and you alone get to govern how you use it, how you access it, what you do with it. This I think is just, breathe, Sandra. So I want to go back to, I get so excited about this because sometimes this seems like information that people don't have access to, that they don't know. I got to take a swig. Okay. So let me move on. The chakras, the saffrons, the sacraments all speak of interacting with power and taking control of our power in gradually more intense processes. At the first level, for example, we learn to handle having group identity and the power that comes within the family. So we talked about the first chakra, the root chakra. And in that chakra, we are born into a system. So we are born into a family first. That family is within a community. That community, or a community or neighborhood, that community or neighborhood is within a city, state, country, world. And so as we go out, as we gradually go out from this family, we are a part of different levels of being. So let me stop right here for a second and say that part of in my humble opinion, I'll say like Stephanie does, part of the issue that we are now dealing with is that we live in a country, the United States of America, that I am diagnosing it has cancer. Our country has cancer, and it has had for a while. And what is cancer? Cancer is when cells begin to turn upon its host. It does not function in the way that it is supposed to function. So in your body, a cancer might be cells that have stopped functioning and doing what it is that their process or they're supposed to do. And so it is about trying to figure out how then to stop the spread of that, these faulty cells. But here in this country, and let me say it like this, because Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said years ago, back in I don't know, whatever year that was it 1967? He was saying that America has, it says that until we do an about face, he says this country, we are, oh man, I'm gonna mess up the quote, but he said that this country has cancer, and written on this autopsy was going to be this Vietnam War. And he talked about really how we needed to turn around our thinking so that we did not, that we weren't going to die this slow death. So let me say it like this. This country has this cancer because the problem that we have is that we have not actually worked towards healing. So let me keep going, and then I'm going to circle back on that, because part of it is that she talks in here about why the sacraments are so important. So now we are born into a family, we are born into a group. And that group gives us a lot of the information that we receive about how it is that we maneuver in the world. Not only do we receive this in our DNA, but we also receive this by the training that we receive. You know, basically, we are shown how to show up in the system. Our DNA informs us, but so does the family structure. So on that first level, we learn about family identity, the power that comes from within the family. On later levels, we individualize and manage our power as adults. So gradually, we learn how to manage our minds, our thoughts, and our spirits. She says, every choice we make, motivated by either fear or faith, directs our spirit. Every choice we make, either by fear or by faith, it directs our spirit. If a person's spirit is impelled by fear, then fear returns to the energy system and it returns to our bodies. If, on the other hand, her spirit and her choices are directed by faith, then grace returns to our energy system or to our biological system, which is our bodies. And so in all three of the traditions, whether we're talking about Judaism, Christianity, or we're not in Hinduism, we're talking about, the chakra systems. I'm going to just leave it there, because right off, for some reason, I just drew a blank there. So in all three of these things, it says that that we are releasing our spirit into the world. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm trying to see how to do this.